I think getting this break is going to be very beneficial for myself and something that I deserve. And at times, like, I'm just somebody that wants to continue to work and continue to play. And there has to be a point where, that has to stop and you have to, take care of yourself.
Caitlin Clark, the name that has redefined women's basketball. From logo threes that leave defenders stunned to playmaking vision that makes her teammates better. She's not just a rookie, she's the superstar who dragged the Indiana Fever back into the spotlight. Every game felt like a national event, every shot a headline. But just as the basketball world was ready for more, Caitlin Clark dropped a bombshell. She's stepping away. No overseas ball, no off-season grind. Over 200 days of silence from the WNBA's brightest star. Fans are shocked, teammates are speechless, and the league itself is scrambling. Was it exhaustion, frustration, or something much bigger? A battle for respect, health, and legacy? Tonight, we dive deep into the rise, the chaos, and the shocking pause that has left the entire basketball world in disbelief. Buckle up. This is Caitlin Clark's defining moment. Caitlin Clark, she doesn't just play basketball, she changes the game. Every arena she steps into fills with energy, anticipation, and flashbulbs ready to capture history. From her days at Iowa, where she became a legend overnight, to her rookie season with the Indiana Fever, Clark has been nothing short of sensational. But behind the dazzling highlights and record-breaking stats lies a story of grueling minutes, relentless pressure, and now, a shocking twist that no one saw coming. Clark's first year in the WNBA wasn't just a rookie season, it was a marathon. In just 324 days, she played nearly an NBA-length schedule of 81 games, logging almost 3,000 minutes. That's a workload most seasoned pros would struggle with. Yet Caitlin didn't just survive, she thrived. She dropped 30-point nights, racked up assists, and became the heartbeat of an Indiana Fever team that went from overlooked to must-watch television. Her final game of the season said it all. Against the Connecticut Sun, a playoff powerhouse, Caitlin scored 25 points and handed out 9 assists. The Fever were outmatched on paper, but she refused to back down. She attacked the rim, pulled up from deep, and orchestrated the offense with vision beyond her years. Teammates missed open looks, but Caitlin kept creating. To anyone watching, it was clear, like, she wasn't just a rookie, she was already the engine of an entire franchise. And then the announcement dropped. Caitlin Clark would be stepping away from the game until April. No overseas contracts, no off-season tournaments, no non-stop grind, just silence, just rest. Over 200 days without the WNBA's most electrifying player. The basketball world froze. Fans couldn't believe it. Commentators were stunned. Even the league itself seemed caught off guard. Social media lit up instantly. Some fans panicked. The league can't afford this break. Others applauded her decision, calling it bold, smart, and necessary for her long-term career. But one thing was undeniable. This wasn't just about rest. It was a statement. Caitlin Clark was reminding the world her health, her body, and her legacy would always come before anyone else's agenda. But what really pushed her to this decision? Was it the endless grind of her rookie season? The brutal officiating that left her battered without calls? Or was it something bigger? A clash between the WNBA's brightest star and the league itself? In Act 2, we uncover the controversy, the rivalries, and the brewing storm that made Caitlin Clark's announcement the most shocking move in women's basketball. It wasn't just exhaustion that forced Caitlin Clark to step away. Her final games revealed something much darker, a league struggling to protect its brightest star. In one of the most talked about moments of the season, Clark was tackled to the ground. No whistle, no foul, nothing. Fans erupted. How is that not a call? They demanded. But the silence from referees spoke volumes. To many, it was proof of a double standard, a willingness to let Caitlin absorb punishment that other stars would never face. Twitter exploded. TikTok Reels went viral. Hashtags like #ProtectClark and WNBA officiating started trending. Even players chimed in. One voice captured the frustration. "We don't want fans degrading us or calling us names. Something has to be done." Another pointed at the hypocrisy, asking why Angel Reese or Alyssa Thomas were defended differently on similar plays. To fans, it felt clear. Clark was being treated as an outsider, a disruptor, someone who had changed the league too fast, too loud, and too big for the old guard to accept. Even Alyssa Thomas, fresh off a playoff win, turned her frustration toward Fever fans. She condemned the slurs and negativity, but her timing raised eyebrows. Earlier in the season, when Angel Reese had tackled her, Thomas stayed silent. Now, against Caitlyn, the outrage was suddenly loud. Was this genuine concern or selective criticism? The double standards were piling up, and Caitlyn Clark was stuck at the center of it all. Fans weren't just angry at officiating, they were furious at the culture surrounding Clark. Every game felt like a war, not just against defenders, but against biased whistles, toxic commentary, and constant online debate. Some fans adored her, others mocked her, but either way, Caitlyn couldn't escape the storm, and it all came to a boiling point in those playoffs. In one moment, she'd hit a shot from the logo, sending the arena into chaos. The very next, she'd be thrown to the hardwood with no whistle. The inconsistency was staggering. Normally, superstars like LeBron James or Aja Wilson get the benefit of the doubt. That superstar whistle, but for Caitlyn, silence, over and over again. And it wasn't just her body taking hits. The mental toll was enormous. Imagine carrying the weight of an entire league on your shoulders, only to be denied the same respect other stars receive. Game after game, the bruises piled up, the frustration mounted, and Clark, still just a rookie, was forced to balance superstardom with survival. One of the most telling moments came not from the court, but the stands. During a heated matchup, a fan relentlessly heckled Caitlyn's insults, taunts, cheap shots from the crowd. And finally, she snapped. Calmly but firmly, Caitlyn pointed the fan out to security, and within minutes, they were gone. It was powerful, but it also showed the cracks in her armor. For the first time, fans saw Caitlyn not just as unstoppable, but human, vulnerable. And then, of course, there was the rivalry. Angel Reese. Every time the two shared the court, it became an event, a headline waiting to be written. Trash talk, clutch shots, viral moments. Reese herself admitted, "I'm going to compete. I'm going to trash talk because I'm competitive." But off the court, she laughed it off. Fans didn't. The rivalry became bigger than the games themselves. It became personal. For some, Clark represented the future. For others, Reese was the face of resistance. And together, they created a storm the WNBA hadn't seen in decades. With her body bruised, her mind exhausted, and the noise of an entire sports world surrounding her, Caitlyn Clark did something no one expected. She walked away, not forever, but long enough to make the league feel her absence. What happens to the WNBA without its brightest star? And what does this mean for the future of women's basketball? In Act 3, we uncover the ripple effect of Clark's decision, from the Fever's collapse to Angel Reese's opportunity, to the WNBA scrambling for answers. When Caitlyn Clark stepped away, the silence was deafening. The Indiana Fever, a franchise reborn by her arrival, suddenly found themselves staring into the void. Ticket sales had skyrocketed, merchandise flew off shelves, TV ratings soared. But now, the very player who fueled that explosion was gone, and the ripple effect reached far beyond Indiana. Without Clark, the Fever lost their spark. Attendance dipped, energy evaporated. Games once hyped as must-watch events suddenly felt ordinary again. Commentators called it a gut punch for the WNBA's momentum, but it wasn't just about one team's struggles. Clark's absence revealed something bigger: how much the entire league had come to depend on her. Sports media went into overdrive. Headlines screamed, "Caitlyn Clark steps away. Is the WNBA in trouble?" Talk shows debated whether she was overprotected or unfairly targeted. Social media split in half. Some applauded her for taking control of her mental and physical health. Others accused her of running away from pressure. Either way, her name dominated every conversation. Caitlyn Clark was no longer just an athlete, she was a movement. With Clark gone, all eyes turned to her rival, Angel Reese. The self-proclaimed Bayou Barbie embraced the spotlight, playing to packed arenas and leaning into her fiery personality. Without Clark across the court, though, something felt different. The rivalry that once electrified the sport was now one-sided. Reese dominated headlines, but fans knew the story wasn't complete, because rivalries aren't built on one player shining. They're built on two stars colliding. For the WNBA, Clark's absence was more than a headache. It was a crisis. Overnight, they had to answer a brutal question. Can we sustain this wave without her? The truth? The league had leaned too heavily on one rookie. Every marketing campaign, every primetime slot, every highlight reel. Caitlyn was at the center, and suddenly she wasn't there. Sponsors grew nervous. Networks hesitated. The WNBA's biggest bet was at risk of crumbling. But here's the twist. Caitlyn's decision didn't shrink her fame. It expanded it. Global outlets picked up the story. BBC, Al Jazeera, sports papers in Spain, Italy, and Japan. The narrative shifted from rookie sensation to athlete under fire. And suddenly, Clark wasn't just a player in the WNBA. She was a symbol in the worldwide debate about women in sports, their treatment, their value, and their limits. Through it all, Caitlyn said nothing. No interviews, no tweets, no Instagram posts, just silence. And that silence spoke louder than words. Fans speculated endlessly. Was she planning a return? Was she done for good? Was she making a stand? Each unanswered question made the mystery grow, and that mystery became power. For her teammates, life got harder. Defenses no longer collapsed on Caitlyn's gravity. Opponents played looser, bolder. Shots were contested, spacing collapsed, and wins slipped away. The Fever went from a playoff threat to a struggling roster. And behind closed doors, whispers grew louder. Did we take Caitlyn for granted? Fans were just as divided. Supporters rallied around her, calling her a warrior for choosing self-care over sacrifice. Critics slammed her, saying legends like Kobe or Jordan never walked away. But this wasn't the 90s. This was the age of social media, where every bruise, every foul, every glare becomes a viral moment. Caitlyn Clark wasn't just playing basketball anymore. She was living inside a constant spotlight, one no rookie was truly prepared for. But beyond the noise, one truth became undeniable. Caitlyn Clark had already changed the game. High school gyms saw spikes in attendance. Little girls wore Clark jerseys, pulling up from deep in their driveway like their hero. The sport itself had shifted. Whether she was on the court or not, Caitlyn Clark had proven something powerful. Women's basketball wasn't just growing, it was exploding. And that brings us to the question on everyone's mind. With Caitlyn Clark gone, at least for now, what does the future of the WNBA look like? Can Angel Reese carry the torch? Can the Fever recover? Or will the league find itself chasing the shadow of the superstar who forced everyone to finally pay attention? In Act 4, we explore the aftermath, the politics, and the ultimate question: is Caitlyn Clark truly gone for good, or is her return inevitable? The shockwaves didn't fade overnight. Days turned into weeks, and Caitlyn Clark's absence became the story of the summer. But this wasn't just about one player stepping away. This was about the very foundation of women's basketball being tested, its growth, its resilience, and its future. Even in Washington, Clark's name popped up. Politicians referenced her story when discussing athlete protections, fair pay, and mental health in sports. What started as a personal decision rippled into the political arena. Suddenly, Caitlyn Clark wasn't just a player. She was a case study, a symbol of what happens when unprecedented fame collides with unrelenting pressure. In Indiana, the Fever scrambled to find a new identity. They promoted new leaders in the locker room. They tested new offensive systems. But replacing Caitlyn Clark? Impossible. She wasn't just a scorer. She was gravity. Every defender's eyes were locked on her. Every fan's ticket was bought for her. And without that gravitational pull, the Fever stumbled. For the franchise, it became clear. Life after Clark wasn't just rebuilding. It was survival. Meanwhile, Angel Reese leaned into the moment. With Clark gone, the spotlight shifted to her. She thrived in it, posting career highs, flexing on opponents, and turning every game into a viral moment. Reese became the loud, unapologetic face of the league, but even she admitted in interviews, basketball's best rivalries need both sides. Without Clark, Reese wasn't chasing anyone, and without that chase, the league's greatest storyline lost half its magic. Fans felt torn. Many stayed loyal, filling arenas just to keep women's basketball alive. Others drifted, frustrated that the league's brightest star was missing. Culture shifted too. On social media, debates over Caitlyn Clark became bigger than the games themselves. It wasn't just about jump shots or box scores anymore. It was about identity, loyalty, and the growing pains of a sport exploding faster than anyone expected. Corporate America had banked on Caitlyn Clark. Endorsement deals, jersey sales, TV contracts. Her face was everywhere. And now, companies had to adapt. Some shifted attention to other stars. Others doubled down, betting that Clark's absence only made her story bigger. Because in marketing, mystery sells. And Caitlyn Clark had become the greatest mystery in sports. The longer Caitlyn stayed silent, the more powerful she became. Every day without a statement fueled more speculation. Was she training in secret, negotiating behind the scenes, planning a comeback no one could predict? Silence turned into leverage. She controlled the narrative without saying a word. And this wasn't just about Caitlin Clark, it was about women's sports as a whole. Serena Williams, Simone Biles, Naomi Osaka, each in their own way faced the crushing weight of expectation. Each forced the world to rethink what it means to be a woman at the top of global sport. Caitlin Clark joined that lineage. Whether she realized it or not, her decision placed her at the center of a larger story. The fight for respect, for balance, for humanity in a world that often demands perfection. So where does this leave us? The Fever are searching for answers. Angel Reese is carrying the torch. The WNBA is fighting to prove it can thrive through storms. And Caitlin Clark? She remains the wild card. The silence. The absence. The player who may yet return to reshape the league once again. One thing is certain, this isn't the end. Caitlin Clark changed the game once. She can do it again. The only question is, when? Caitlin Clark's decision has left us with more questions than answers. Will the WNBA thrive without her? Will rivalries keep the fire alive? Or will her absence remind everyone just how much she means to the game? What we do know is this: Caitlin Clark is not just another star, she's a movement, a player whose impact goes beyond box scores and stat sheets. She's the reason new fans tuned in, the reason arenas sold out, the reason the conversation around women's basketball became global. And now, the league waits. The fans wait. We all wait. Because when Caitlin Clark finally returns, it won't just be another game. It will be an event. A reminder of why basketball, in its purest form, can still take our breath away. But what do you think? Can the WNBA hold its momentum without Caitlin Clark? Or will the league's brightest light prove that when she's not on the court, the entire game feels different? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown of one of the most shocking decisions in sports, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss the stories that matter most. This isn't the end of Caitlin Clark's story, it's just the beginning, and when she returns, you'll want to be here with us, watching it unfold.